What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Gridiron Fantasy. I am Rodney, your host, your content creator, and today we're going to be talking about player badges in Axis Football. Now, I don't think that we're going to see these in 2021, as I originally wanted to title this video, Player Badges for Axis Football 2021, but I don't think we're going to see these in 2021 or 2022. I think we might get them in 24 or 25, seeing how gameplay develops over the next 2 or 3 years. But getting right into it, player badges or abilities are not supposed to make the game less of a simulation, but to add more realism, replay value, and new challenges. So using an example for that, Steph Curry, if you guys watch basketball, everyone knows that Steph Curry is a great deep range shooter, and he has a longer range than many players. And I remember when everyone was really blown away by just what exactly he could do. And this was, I think, 2015 or 2016. I think this was the year that the team went 73-9. Steph Curry was just hitting all kinds of crazy threes from beyond the half court line, just in front of the half court line, all of these different things. And if I were to go and turn on 2K right now, and I were to play as Steph Curry without any of his badges or any of his abilities, he wouldn't be able to do any of those things like he would be able to do in real life. He wouldn't be able to do any of that stuff. But once those badges and those abilities are there, he's now able to do those things. The same way if I'm, let's say I'm LeBron James and I'm playing as LeBron James on 2K, who is someone who can definitely drive to the rim and finish. Someone who is great at attacking the rim and creating / avoiding contact. If I were to go and play 2K and I played as LeBron without any of those abilities, he's not going to be able to do that the same way that he would with the abilities. So this is what I'm saying. There are badges and abilities that can yield more realistic results and more enjoyable gameplay without making the game feel like an arcade, without making the game feel like it's too video gamey, but making it look like it actually was meant to be in a real world environment by pointing out some of those things that you can't get in stats, or I should say ratings, overalls, whatever you want to call them. So in this video, I will discuss possible player badges that could be useful for every position, and abilities that will make players stand out, how they can be activated, lost, and gained. Activating an ability is basically just how that ability gets turned on. If a player were to lose an ability, it's basically just how that ability is deactivated, not how that player completely loses the ability to turn on the ability. Gaining an ability is how an ability can be given to a player through progression via franchise. Now, assuming a player is eligible to gain more than one ability, an ability can be randomly picked for them. That's just an idea. I think it might add another level of, I guess, control over your franchise. If while you're playing, a pop-up comes up like, hey, this player can earn 2 separate badges, or is eligible for 2 different, I'm sorry, not badges. This player is eligible for 2 different abilities. Which one do you suggest that he go with? And then you can give them that ability. So that's just an idea, or they can be randomly picked. I would also propose that players can have secondary abilities, like in 2K21, or they can overcharge the first ability to have it twice, and just making that first ability just better. And I think that, again, that can add some sort of realism, but it can add realism, but I can see also how at least with the overcharging, it can take away from the realism. And I understand that the majority, if not all of the people in the Axis community, are really looking for that super simulation kind of deal. But I also would say that the coaches have badges. So if the coaches have badges, then why can't the players have badges? That's just my idea. So, and since I've been talking about badges, for anyone that doesn't know, if I didn't explain it already. A badge differs from an ability because a badge is passive. A badge will always be there. Once it's gained, it's there. Now, I would suggest that players could regress in their badges the same way that they regress in real life, you know, and I would suggest maybe for an ability at some point, maybe they lose that ability, especially if they're not performing as well, but I'm not entirely sure. Either way, everything has to be earned. Now, at the 5.5 minute mark, I'm going to get right into it. And the very first part of this is going to be quarterbacks. We're starting with the offense. We're starting with the head honcho. We're starting with quarterbacks. I will go over all of the abilities that I think quarterbacks should have. Now, the most that I really thought about was like 4 for each player, or at least each position group. And I say that because I didn't think it would make any sense to really sit and try and figure out just how many badges everyone can have. You know, I really wanted to just make this video kind of like an idea, give everyone just a taste of something that we could see. Hopefully, if the devs, you know, watch this video, enjoy this video, whatever. So, like I said, we're going to go over the quarterbacks and their abilities first, and then we're going to go on and on and on. So, abilities for quarterbacks. The first one is pocket monolith. So, when the QB is in the pocket, their chance to break the tackle is higher. So, that's the description for it. To activate this ability, the QB will activate this ability in the second half if they break 3 or more sacks in the first half. The ability can be lost by getting sacked twice on one drive, and the ability can be gained, as in through progression. The ability can be gained if the QB has broken 30 or more sacks in one season. To keep the ability, they must have been sacked less than 25 times. Now, this ability, I was really thinking about just quarterbacks who are really, really good at just making sure that they don't get sacked. And that doesn't mean they're mobile. It just means that, okay, when pressure is in their face, they don't fold. They can take a hit or two, and they can take a hit or two without dropping and still be able to throw a great pass. So that's what I was really thinking about for this one right here. And that was the idea for this one, as I said, and I'm kind of rambling at this point, so I will move on. And the next one being field general. So with field general, the description for that is the QB makes his offensive teammates play better by giving them a +3 boost to every attribute. I'm sorry. To activate this ability, he has to throw 3+ touchdowns and 0 interceptions in the first half, and the ability will be active for all of the second half. Now, he can lose this ability if he commits any turnovers, whether that is a fumble or an interception. And it doesn't matter if the interception is his fault or the receiver's fault. Anything will make that ability go away. And then the ability can be gained through progression if the QB is the leader in passing touchdowns, passing yards, or passer rating, and the QB has to be a 4+ year veteran. So I wanted to make these abilities in such a way that some of them you just have to be a vet to get these abilities. I don't think that is fair for a rookie to come in and in the very next year all of a sudden he's commanding that kind of I guess he's just like I don't know. I just didn't think it was really, I didn't think there was much realism to that. Now, you guys might think something else, but that's just how I feel. On to the next one, we have pocket passer. So this QB thrives in the pocket. Passes thrown from the pocket have a +4 boost in accuracy. To activate this ability, the QB must complete 5 passes in a row. The ability will stay active until an incomplete pass is thrown. And then to gain this ability, the QB needs to have an end of season completion percentage of at least 65. So And then for this one, I really just wanted to be able to have a distinction between, well, like I said with all of these, I shouldn't even say that. Like I said with all of, before I started this, you know, or did I say it before I started it? I honestly do not remember. You know what? And I'm kind of straying away from what I really want to talk to you guys about, so I'm going to go ahead and move forward. Now, the next one is dynamic. So, if I'm not mistaken, this is the last ability that I drafted up for QBs. So, this QB is a dual threat. He gains a +6 tackle break, +7 speed, and +8 agility on plays where he is blitzed. Defenses will have to play more contain and spy plays against him, which should make downfield passing easier. To activate this ability, the quarterback needs to gain 300 total offensive yards. So that's ground or air, and it has to be from the QB. So the QB will lose this ability, however, if they fumble. And I'll go ahead and say also if they throw an interception, the ability can be lost. But I don't know if I want to say that the ability resets progression if a interception or a fumble happens before the ability is activated. But, you know, if this is something that the devs see and they're like, hey man, I like this, I guess they'll figure it out. But to gain this ability, the QB needs to have 2,000 plus passing yards and 800 plus rushing yards during the season. So that's it for the quarterbacks. That's all that I thought of. That's all that I drafted up for the quarterbacks. And going back over it and really looking over it and just recapping it, I think that it can add something that's really nice. And if I'm not mistaken, John McCormick of the Arizona Heat is the fastest quarterback of all vanilla quarterbacks in Axis football. So I could very well, especially if they add QB run plays into the game, I could see John McCormick having this ability right here. I can see John McCormick going 2K passing, 2K in the air, 800 on the ground, and getting this ability and then just tearing up defenses. And then it's like, you know, when you're about to play the Arizona Heat, it's like, okay, you know, John McCormick is that guy. He really can do the thing. So we need to figure out what type of plays we're going to run against him. And as I said in the description, you know, running contains, running QB spies, and really trying to make sure that he does not get out of control. So that's all I have really for that. As the Arizona Heat are like my favorite team in Axis, I can't really say too much about the other teams, but here's what I will say. I can make a follow-up video to this. If this video gets, you know, a lot of recognition, I can make a follow-up video to this where I go over certain teams in Axis football and see if they're worthy, in my opinion, of earning some of these badges. So, we're going to move on to the running backs now. Now, the running backs, I believe, have 4 abilities as well. And I really wanted to focus the running backs on some of what you see in real life. But let's go. So the first running back ability I have is the bus. Now, this running back is known for running men over and carrying defenders. He gains +8 tackle break on runs up the middle and on goal line runs. To activate this ability, the running back must break 10 tackles. The running back will lose this ability if he is tackled for a loss. And to gain this ability, the running back needs to have broken over 100 tackles in a season. So I really base this on running backs that don't really get too much recognition, like Gus Edwards for the Ravens. You know, he is a great running back, and if you look at his stats, this is what I mean by he doesn't get that much recognition. If you look at his individual stats, you know, he doesn't, you can't really say he stacks up all too well against a lot of the other guys. But when you look at how the Ravens use him, especially on how well he is on not only goal line runs and just powering through defenses, but just having dominant 3 or 4 yard runs, or on third down, just being able to go in and just power through. And I will even say Derrick Henry throughout the season, especially on this is, you know, congratulations to him on having 2,000 yards I think it was, yeah, it was a little, it was a, was it a couple hundred over 2,000, or was it just a little bit over 2,000? I don't remember, but he, he's a great rusher. And you saw what the Titans were able to do with him, on a few different games, 200 plus yards, like putting up Madden numbers on teams. Derrick Henry really did great. And he was able to third down really make teams just hope that he doesn't do anything. And sometimes he's doing that on first and second down too. So that's all I have to say for the bus ability. The next ability that I drafted up was dual threat. Now, this running back is a threat on the ground and in the air. He gains +8 to catch on play action passes and +7 speed on pitch runs. To activate this ability, he needs to gain 120 total scrimmage yards, and the ability will be lost if he fumbles or drops a pass. And then to gain this ability, the running back needs to have 800 plus receiving yards and 800 plus rushing yards. So 1,600 minimum scrimmage yards. And I think that this is fair, especially because in Axis, and I think I talked about this in one of my videos. Yeah, I think I did talk about it in one of my videos, but for I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm just saying that, if you look at the stats for the running backs in Axis football, generally the top 10 running backs are all 2,000-yard rushers for the most part. The top 10 are just about 200, Yeah, so I mean 2,000, I'm sorry. And I think that some of them are a lot better in catching than others. So, if some teams, especially if you look at this video that you're watching right now, and you listen to what I'm saying here and go back and look at the gameplay video that I uploaded, the gameplay wishlist video I uploaded, and the franchise wishlist video I uploaded, a lot of these things kind of go hand in hand. But anyway, moving on. So next we have the Flash. So this running back is the fastest in the business and seems to get faster every time he eludes a tackle. So to activate, you have to juke or spin out of a tackle, and the ability is reset when the running back is tackled for a loss. So I don't think I really fleshed this one out. Well, let me finish first. So to gain this ability, the running back needs to have 2,000 plus rush yards. Now, I don't think I really fleshed this one out all too much. This was probably one of my least exciting abilities. Now, if I were to go back and edit this, I think that I would say that the running back would need to have 2,000 yards and have an agility of over 80 or over 85, I guess. And when I say gets faster every time he eludes a tackle, I guess I would say that, they get, like, let's say a +1 to speed every time they break a tackle, I guess. I don't know. So the next one that I want to go over, and the last one for running backs, is Powerhouse. Now, I heavily base this one off of Derrick Henry, especially because I really like how he can just punish. He can just punish teams. And it's like, throughout the first quarter and the second quarter, you might have some good runs. Third quarter, you might have some good runs. But let that fourth quarter come, it's like he's just, in my opinion, he's just great in the fourth quarter. And he was one of the best running backs in the fourth quarter. So for Powerhouse, the running back wears down defenses throughout the game and punishes them in the fourth quarter, seemingly looking stronger as the game progresses. Defenses will suffer a stamina penalty for every tackle they make. So at first I put every tackle broken, but I think that it should be that every time that they tackle him while this ability is active, or at least every time they come in contact with him while this ability is active, they should lose stamina, which via fatigue, because I don't know how fatigue works in Axis, but the way it should work is, the more fatigued you are, you suffer penalties. So if I'm at 100 stamina, I can play at my full potential. Once I hit, let's say I'm at 65 stamina, I should not still be able to play the same way I was playing when I was at 100. So that's all. But to activate this ability, the running back needs to gain 150 rush yards and 1 touchdown before the fourth quarter. The running back can lose his ability. Well, actually, no, the running back cannot lose this ability, but the ability cannot be activated until the requirements are met. Those requirements being it has to be the fourth quarter, and by the fourth quarter, 150 yards need to have been gained, and 1 touchdown needs to have been scored. So to gain this ability, as in, through progression, just to remind everyone, through progression to gain this ability, the running back needs to have 10 plus, 20 plus yard runs in the fourth quarter during the course of the season. And again, I kind of based that off of Derrick Henry. Based off of how gameplay is working in Axis right now, I think that, that is something that's doable. And obviously this is something that could be edited. But anyway, on to the wide receivers. So, abilities for the wide receivers. The first one is Mr. Sticky. So, the wide receiver is known for consistent catches, and once he gets hot, he keeps getting hotter. So, to activate this ability, you have to catch 3 consecutive passes. The ability can be lost if a pass is dropped. The ability can be gained for the ability to be gained, the wide receiver needs to have less than 16 drops in a season. So, less than 1 drop per game. So, if you have less than 1 drop per game, I think that, you're eligible to get this ability. And once you get those 3 consecutive passes, it's going to be so much harder for you to drop that ball. So the next one is Monster. So this wide receiver is a freak of nature. On catches of 20 plus air yards, he gains 10 plus tackle break and 4 plus speed. So if the ball is in the air for 20 or more yards, that's when he gains all of this stuff. So to activate it, he needs 5 plus targets and 3 plus receptions with 1 plus touchdowns before the second half. The ability can be lost if the wide receiver fumbles or drops a pass. The ability can be gained if the wide receiver has 800 plus receiving yards and 8 plus touchdowns. Next, we have the speedy receiver. So this wide receiver can beat most defensive backs in man-to-man coverage. Getting him the ball will cause DBs to double him, leaving other receivers wide open. So I kind of thought about Tyreek Hill on this one and how, just the fear of Tyreek Hill getting the ball causes defenses sometimes to react to him and forget about some of the other receivers and playmakers that Kansas City has. So to activate this ability, the receiver needs to have 4 plus catches of 25 plus yards in the first half. The ability can only be lost at the end of the game. And to gain this ability, the wide receiver just needs to have a 95 plus speed overall. That's all they need to have is a 95 plus speed overall. Next is the trash talker. So this receiver is known to get into the heads of his opponents. When he is in the zone, the awareness of his opponent drops steeply. To activate, the wide receiver needs to make 5 receptions on 1 defender to drop his awareness and cover by 10. So what I mean by that is, so let's say, because different defenders might cover the same person based off of what's going on. There might be a CB blitz or whatever. So on 1 defender, if 1 defender fails to stop this receiver from getting 5 receptions, then the receiver's just going to get in that defender's head, and the defender's just not going to have that much of a great game facing that receiver anymore. And same can be said for all of the other receivers that try and, go up against him. So I really wanted to make this one based off of how you watch those old NFL clips and you hear about players who, just trash talked and got in the heads of their opponents and got their opponent to, commit penalties. I'm tripping. Commit penalties and all of these other things. So trash talk, I understand, is a big part of football because it just, you're messing with the mentality of someone else and how they're playing their game. But the ability can be lost if the wide receiver drops a pass. To gain this ability, the wide receiver needs to be top 10 in the league for catches or for receiving yards. Now, moving on to the next position group, we have tight ends. And at this point in the video, if you are wondering where in the world are the fullbacks, especially because in Axis they don't have a specific, group. I just put the fullbacks with the running backs so they can have all the same abilities as the running backs, I guess. I did want to make some abilities for the fullbacks, but the ultimately decided not to, because I could only really think of like one or two, and I didn't think that that would really do it justice. But, if someone else has any ideas, that's fine. I do, however, think that the fullbacks could utilize, some of the same abilities for tight ends. So now, like I said, I'm moving on to the tight ends, and I will say that for the tight ends, there are only two abilities. So the first being the blocker. This tight end is known for delivering powerful blocks and holds his blocks longer on run plays. To activate, you have to run the ball 3 times and gain 20 plus yards. The ability can be lost if the tight end misses a block. To gain this ability, the tight end needs to pancake 10 defenders and have a block rating of at least 85 plus. So next is receiver in high school. So this tight end is a receiver at heart, and they lack in blocking, but they make up for it in the passing game. On passing downs, the defender that is covering the tight end gains a penalty to awareness and cover. To activate, the tight end needs to score 1 receiving touchdown and have 40 plus pass yards. I'm sorry, that's actually should be receiving yards in the first half. The ability can be lost if the tight end drops an open pass, and it can be gained if the way to gain this ability, is if the tight end has 800 plus receiving yards and touchdowns. So those are the two. I could only really think of blocking tight ends and receiving tight ends. Now, if someone can, refer to me, what else tight ends, what other abilities for tight ends are pretty good, then, please let me know. And also at this point in the video, we're at 27 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and finish out the offense with the offensive line. And then in the second part of this video, we'll talk about the defense, and if defense takes too long, then I'll make a totally separate video for badges. So it'll be a 3-headed dragon. I'll make a totally separate video for badges, and I'll try to flesh out the badges a little bit more. I couldn't do too much with the badges. I couldn't really think of anything. But you know what? If I have to go into 3 parts, I'll definitely do more for badges. So to close this out, we are going to talk about the offensive line, who also, I believe, they might have 3 abilities. They have 2 abilities. So for offensive line, I came up with pass blocker first. So for the pass blocker ability, the lineman keeps his quarterback safe by getting dirty. On pass plays, he gains plus 10 block and plus 10 awareness. To activate this ability, the lineman cannot give up any sacks in the first half. Well, I want to edit that down and say in the first quarter. So in the first quarter, if the offensive lineman has not given up any sacks, then he gains this. But the ability is lost if a sack is allowed by the specific lineman who has this ability. To gain this ability, the lineman needs to pancake 30 defenders in 1 season. Now, I don't think pancake blocks are in Axis. I think the O-line, D-line interactions definitely need to be a lot better. They need to be a lot more fluid, and a pocket needs to form, but it's fine because as of right now, the pocket is kind of straight. So in real life, it would be uber easy, for a defender to get in there. But, it's fine. Like I said in all of my other videos, or most of my other videos, I understand small development team, it's all good. So the very last ability that I will discuss today is run blocker. So this lineman is dangerous in the run game. On run plays, he gains plus 10 speed and plus 20 block. Defenders receive a penalty of 2 to stamina on every consecutive run play. And to activate this ability, the lineman needs to land a block on all run plays during the first half. So, and especially with what I said, let me let me go over how this ability is gained, and then I'll close out the video. So to gain this ability, the lineman needs to have 100 plus blocks in a season and have 85 plus block and 90 plus strength. Now, let's talk about how this ability can work in a climate of how creating your franchise goes. Now, let's think about this. You're someone, you're like, you know what? I want to create a run heavy offense. Well, to create that run heavy offense, I need to draft a really good run blocking O lineman. That's first. And if those run blocking O linemen have, if those run blocking, and actually as I'm talking about this, I feel like I put 90 plus strength, and I don't think there's a strength overall in Axis. So I guess you could just edit that down to 85 plus block, but whatever. So anyway, back to what I was saying, you know, you wanna create the best running team that you can. Like, imagine if you were able to draft an entire O-line that at some point in their careers are all able to have this ability all at one point. And, you know, let's say they all activate this ability at the same time. Like, that would be crazy, because, you know, it feels like this stuff happens in real life, you know, when one team just gets in their groove and gets their game plan down, and then for the rest of the game they're just going through it. They're just doing them, you know, and I think that is just really freaking awesome. Like, I really think that's cool. So that's all I really wanted to talk about. But now I'm gonna close up this video. I'm at 31 minutes and 34 seconds, so the video is already longer than how I already want most of my videos, but I hope this was a great experience for you guys. Just be sure to come back for the part 2 of this video when it does drop, and if you want to know when that video drops, the best thing you can do is not only subscribe but also hit the notification bell, and that'll be the best thing for you, honestly. But anyway, that is it. That I am closing shop for the day. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you guys have any ideas of any abilities that I could have discussed that maybe I didn't, go ahead, drop them. I would love to see what you guys think, and I would really love for the devs to see this video too, because maybe this might give them some inspiration. Not saying they need inspiration, but you know, I believe listening to the fans is one of their core values and core principles. So, you know, that's it. But I belabored my point too long in saying goodbye, so that's it, guys. Have a great day.